Today we are going to discuss about the topic Introduction to Authoring Softwares. The whole lectures which I am going to present here basically are this content. First, I will talk about overview of authoring software. First, I will give what is the overview of authoring softwares. Second, I try to discuss the characteristics of authoring software. What are the characteristics in general? And third, I like to discuss with you about different kinds of multimedia software, including authoring softwares. After you will gone through this lecture, the objective is the learner will able to explain the authoring softwares, and probably you will identify different types of authoring softwares. Third, you can have explain the evolution of authoring software and also explain the characteristics of authoring software, and finally integrate multimedia building blocks, that is each component, how to integrate that, and lastly you can have identify the list of multimedia softwares. So after going through this lesson, probably you can answer all these questions whatever I have put as an objective of these lectures. First, let me discuss about what is authoring. To understand the authoring, I think it's better to take the whole idea from what we have seen in our day-to-day life. Suppose you want to publish a journal, magazine. You are the editor of a journal. Then you have to do the cover design. Cover composed of what? You need pictures, you need background, you need some text. These are all elements. If you are an editor, you know that picture you ask somebody to draw. You ask somebody to have a very good text typing, and you know there are some specialists who are very specialist in background. So you ask your people to do one by one all the elements, but they are not doing the combinations. There is a production managers who combine all the elements and come up with the cover design. And you as a journal editor not only involved in cover design, but storyline, content, advertisement, everything covers as a journal. You will combine everything. This is a good example of one we call authoring. Each component is called a building block, and each building block has to be combined. Generally in DTP also you do that like that. In DTP you take pictures, you take graphics, you take text, and you combine, and you have the authoring. But in multimedia, what you do is, already we have been introduced with different kind of media. Text is one part, audio is one part, video is one part, animation is one part, simulation is one part, morphing is another part, and we have pictures, images, all of this. So these are all basic building blocks, but by itself they cannot combine. There should be some software who will combine all these things. The software that does this combination is called authoring software. The authoring software combines text, graphics, images, audio, video, which you will do it separately. Take for an instance, you have been introduced with Photoshop. Take your any picture, you have done lot of experiment, filter effect you have given, that takes enormous time, 4 hours you have spent. Finally when the production come up, the one image you convert it into JPEG form, which is a compressed one. This is a file. Now, this is a whole part of your storyline. So within the storyline, who will combine all this thing? The authoring software will combine all this element. So he will take as JPEG as a file. Audio is another file. Video is another file. As you know, multimedia is digital multimedia. All are basically binary files. And for computer software is same. It doesn't distinguish with audio, video, image. Basically all are a bits combination, 0, 1 combinations. So this authoring software will combine all these elements one by one and separately combine and come up with your story. So you have to know the production process of a multimedia if you have to understand what is called authoring softwares. Let's see the flow chart. What is the steps involved developing a multimedia software? First is the concept definition, by which we mean you have to know your target. Who are your audience? Why they have come to have a multimedia instructional package? What are the content of this? So you have to know the requirement of the customers. Any educational package, whether it is multimedia or non-multimedia or anything, it must have, first phase should be requirement phase, which is called concept definitions. You have to have an idea, you have to know your requirement and sell your idea, then only you know for what purpose you are doing the softwares. So first is the concept definition. Once concept definition is finalized, then next step is called the storyboard design. Take an example. Suppose TTTI Chandigarh wants to have a package on computer maintenance and troubleshooting, multimedia package. First, the idea has come in somebody's mind. Say some faculty members of computer science has the idea to make it. He has to take approval from the management because it involves cost. Then management will ask who will be your customer, how it is going to be helped, what you are going to teach. If you are doing the classroom teaching, why you need an extra multimedia packages. All question has to be answered. A committee will be there, the academic board, they will finally say, okay, the project is worthwhile, you can go ahead. That means you have defined the concept definition, cross the approval. Once it is approved, second step comes that we have decided to have a multimedia package on computer maintenance troubleshooting, but what we are going to show, you have to visualize as a storyboard. Each screen is a one storyboard. So you have to understand that you have to come up with a storyboard. And that storyboard, when you look like this, it will be, say, half page of an A4 size. Half page. Take this paper, blank paper, make it half. Then you will have a sense that this is my screen. And each screen should have, you have to tell what are the text component, where will be your video file, where you want to show the animation, where will be your user interface, like this. This is each part of the storyboard. But before storyboard, you have to do a concept mapping diagram. Without concept mapping diagram, you cannot jump to storyboard. The reason is, like, first you have a menu. After the menu, you think that if you click, there will be a hyperlink to some files. So you have to come in navigation structures. Storyboard is basically combination of all these pages, link in between. Like in video film, they call it linear way, but in computer, as because we have multiple link and we have hypertext link, that's why it is important to know that navigation plays a very important role in computer software. You have to know the interactivity, the type of interactivity involved. and what type of interactivity has got highest level of cognitive processing. So come up with a storyboard. Each storyboard may compose 100 pages of A4 with detailed writing where you are putting all the things that is part of the second step. Once you got the idea, you have to put again to academic board, or maybe smaller of academic board who will supervise the whole project. So they will say, okay, as a team, fine, the architecture is fine, software, navigation structure is okay. Then once you decide the whole thing, these are all paper design. You have not sit before a computer now. The paper design has to be completed and design has to be submitted. Once it is approved, then you will find that in the page 1 I have one animation, in the page 5 I have another animation, in the page 7 I have another animation, in the page 2 I have a video. So you are identifying, you are listing what are the elements, building blocks you require. Now you ask your computer, some programmer, animation people, please come up with some this you have to do. You have to give input, process, output structure. But when you are giving the idea that you have to do that animation or you have to take that shooting, they have to understand that part only. They are not interested about your total storyline, because production manager is a different people who will combine all these things. So after the storyboard, what you have to do is development of multimedia building blocks. So text is a building blocks, audio is a building blocks, video is a building blocks, animation is a building blocks, simulation is a building blocks. So each is a building blocks. You have to develop that. Once it is developed, then only we come the stage of authoring. The role of authoring comes now. You have all the element, you have all the videos, you have all the audios, you have all the text. Now you are trying to combine it, and that is the part of authoring role. So the software will be there, it will pick one by one the element and combine it and come up with the navigation structure. In the building blocks, you do not have any navigation structure in the building blocks. Here you don't have any navigation structure. These are all static. But authoring is a dynamic, because you have link between one element to other element, and the navigation structure will be derived from the concept map which you have done it quite earlier, and the instructional design people will help you in this, because they are more knowledgeable of how to present a instructional software. So that is the part of authoring. So authoring software is such a software which helps to combine all the building blocks in a package. And after the authoring, you will do testing and revision. And as you all know, in educational science, we call it formative evaluation and summative evaluation. Both the things you have to do before finally sell it to the market or to the customers. And after testing and revision is done, the package is ready for delivery. This is an ideal model I am talking about. But in Indian context, particularly for the requirement point of view, all the time you don't have to do a package such a professionally. Why I am talking this one? It is a market. If you think of market, then you have to do like that. But most of the time I have seen that teachers has to develop some multimedia things for their own classroom teaching, which is very helpful at the institute level. You are not trying to sell anything. Professional touch is not important, much more important how it is helping your teaching learning system. In that case, I will advise the teacher have to do all the things by his own, because you know that it's nothing big deal. Maybe your package will not be highest sophisticated level, but it's really, it works. It will help your learner. Final motto of all this thing is to help the learners to understand the thing, to help him, to facilitate him. So you can do the package with an authoring software. That authoring software is not difficult to learn, and you can combine this element with little bit help of a computer specialist, and you can come up with a package. Definitely that package may not be professional finish, but it is very useful. And Indian context, I must say, we have to follow this model, because we have excellent teachers all around the country. But if they can be trained to develop little bit of software, then it will be a tremendous help to the teaching learning system, which is, I think, in my opinion, we are lacking in this. Partly because we have no training, and partly we do not have the training facilities. So this, I think, we have to look into. Once the authoring software, the architecture of authoring software is basically two types. One is called author mode and other is called learning mode. What is an author mode? Author mode is basically when teachers develop the thing. Like you have done the storyboard, animation, video, all you have collected. Now you are combining this thing. What you are doing? You are developing the software. That is called author mode. In the author mode, you can use programming language. I will come one by one. Author language or authoring system. What are these? In the next subsequent slide, I will give you in detail. So whatever may be the authoring thing you are using, by use of authoring system, you come a courseware. That courseware now being used by, is loaded into the computer, is used by learner, that is the student, and he is in the learning mode. Learner cannot go to this authoring mode. Author only can change his package or her package. He or her is the owner of the package. Student can only use it. They cannot change the content. That's why it is called, one is author mode and other is called the learning mode. Now, if you see the author mode, there are three major things in authoring mode so far in evaluation. First, the way we have authored the all CAI and multimedia package was with simple programming language. At that time there was no authorware, no director, no tool book, not like so easy drag and drop. You have to understand a language. By use of language, you can develop the software. The most popular language at that time being used was BASIC, and after that, you know, lot of different packages has come which has been used using C, even C++. I have seen lot of packages. So that was the first stage, using traditional programming language. Next, it was used authoring language. Authoring language, you know, the logo, one language was there where it's very easy to write the like basic inbuilt structure. Students are nowadays using in most of the schools. This is what? This is basically you are combining lot of subroutine into the program, and clicking at that you are getting the facility. It is not a full programming language, it's better than that, because maybe you say draw is a command, draw a circle, it will draw the circle.
You say by it exits.
By, exit, these are the language you can use directly. But when you say draw circle, computer immediately draw the circle. What does it mean? Draw is a subroutine. When you say circle, he immediately understand. Immediately he wants, what is your radius? What radius you want to draw the circle? You say radius 15, it will draw the 15. That means what? A program is running, some point of time it is asking the user input, you give the input, program is complete. So it's better for most of the people at that time. At least you know that when by using traditional programming language, the multimedia package has to be developed, there was few people, only some computer scientists knows this programming language. Even they are not that much conversant, because learning a language is a big problem. All the time, you know, so many things are there. So it becomes a really a few people thing. After that, when authoring language came, we have a little better, but still that was not widely used. The third stage now we are passing through, called authoring system. Now we are at this stage of authoring system where you need not have to bother about language, You do not have to bother about syntax of a language. Only thing you have to bother is you have to understand that package. Like you have Office 97 package, presentation software PowerPoint is an authoring part. First level, not I will say highest level. With PowerPoint what you can do? You can make beautiful presentation, but the interactivity is less. Question is not inbuilt. Any instructional package should have some inbuilt template, like how to do question, how to do evaluate, how to do scoring. PowerPoint do not have this facility. PowerPoint is only a presentation software. Still it is authoring. PowerPoint helps you to combine audio, video, text, animation, everything you can combine in PowerPoint. But basically it is a monologue. Sometimes you can, now this last two version they have hyperlink in PowerPoint. Even you can click, you can post it in HTML, save it in HTML and web also. Still it is not instructionally dedicated softwares, but still one stage of authoring. This authoring system, like you have seen in PowerPoint, there are a lot of packages which will help you to develop the package very quickly, and that is the authoring system. There are different types which I will come subsequently. But let's see the advantage and disadvantage of each one. Say traditional programming language, when you use BASIC, what was the advantage? Flexible. You have to know all the time that ultimately it is the language. Whether you are using PowerPoint or word processing or any utility package, it is very user friendly, but background there is a program written by either C, C++, any high level language. So if you know that language mastery, then there is no substitute to that, because ultimately it is a language. So definitely it is much more flexible. Any package should have some limitation, but language do not have any limitation. The sky is the limit. So whatever you want to do, you can do with programming language. So it is flexible, it is powerful, that is whatever you like to do, you can do. It is transportable, very important point. Sometimes you have a very sophisticated software, but it is not running below 486, it will not run in Macintosh machine, it is compatible only with Unix but not with NT, something you will always find. And common people get disturbed out of this. When they ask a computer people, hey, why this software is not running not in my machine? Oh no, your machine do not have multi-user. What you are talking, I have no multi-user, what I have to do? Because we are users, so we want to use it. And you say this and that, you do not have compiler, this is not compatible, we get disgusted. So, but here if you use a programming language, this question is not there, because programming language after compiling it can run in any machines, whatever machine, it not dependent on machine architecture or operating system. So these are the advantage. What and the low cost, definitely I have forgot to tell you about the low cost. Low cost is another important issue. Programming language compiler, how much it cost? In fact, some of the computer gives you free also if you bargain with properly. The disadvantage is difficult to learn. I think this is the most important point. To learn a language, master of a language and develop a package is not a easy thing. From an institute, if anybody does that, and immediately he leaves the institute, because he will be a very demanding person in the whole industries. So that's another problem of dimension we have. Development time is more. Time we need lot in programming language. If you go for next level, that is authoring language, it is relatively simpler, easier to learn, but disadvantage is capability sacrificed and require knowledge of programming construct. So at least you have to know little bit of algorithm. You didn't have to know the language, the syntax, but you have to know the algorithm concept. But now we have authoring system. What are the advantage? It's much easier to learn.
Even if you do not have any programming language sense, that also you can do the through authoring. Second is design template included. So all authoring softwares included a design template. Like in PowerPoint you have seen there are so many design templates, beautiful design template you can just pick. You do not have to do anything. Like they have created in Photoshop, put some the design template and built in your package. You take one and you only type, a package will be done. Presentation package mostly in that case is done by that. So design template is included. You do not have to do anything. You have to only choose which design you like to show. Development time is less, very less. And the point I have not mentioned here, instructional design strategy is embedded. Like, you know, any instructional design strategy should have a, we call it set induction. After that you introduce the subject, then you have drill and practice, then you go on to the evaluation. All this little bit is included in the authoring systems. Disadvantage is lack of flexibility, sometimes compatibility, sometimes flexibility. You do not have to do this way, you cannot use that way, this is the limitation of this package, something you always learn. Less power, that's why. And finally less transportable. Sometimes it works in particular machine only or particular combination, not in all. But nowadays people are trying to overcome all these things. Higher cost. I think this is the possibly in Indian context we have real problems. That is, authorware professionals, it takes about 80,000, I think, 80,000 rupees. Tool book is about 50 to 60,000, and also the site license, this license, that license are always there. And animation software, 3D Max or Maya, is about 2.5 lakhs. Maya takes about 5 lakhs. So this cost is really a big problem for us.